we know so much about mind. We've heard about it. We talk about it. Uh, that we do not know anything about it. That's what happens. You see, basically, I'll put it this way. In an interaction like this, have you imagined that it is my mind speaking to his mind, my mind speaking to your mind, my mind speaking to his mind, etc. And your mind is speaking to mine. It's purely mental reaction. Like I get angry with Krishnan, I start shouting at him. He's my cousin's son, and so I can afford to shout at him. I get angry with him. I shout at him, I call him any kind of names, and he starts calling me back. And so for next half an hour, we call each other names. Now, it is not as if anything else is happening there, excepting something is flowing from the mind. Some thoughts are moving here and there, here and there, here and there. If you look at it, if you look two angry people shouting at each other together, you will have a good laugh. Because it will just be two people shouting at each other without knowing what they are shouting at, what they are shouting about. Now, because it is purely a mental transaction, because they are moving at the mental plane. They have forgotten all other planes. Now, it's become very important for the time being for them. Now, why is it becoming important for them? It is all important for us because civilization, evolution have brought it up in such a way that mind becomes the most important component in human living system. In the human living system, the human living system transacts its business. It seems as though through the mind only. Through the mind only. Therefore, you see, mind has become a fantastically important instrument. The Sanskrit literature calls it only an instrument, and it is called an internal instrument. It's called antakarana. It's an internal instrument because our eyes, our nose, our ears, and things like that, which are part of our external sense perception receiving instruments, are external instruments. Whereas mind is an internal instrument. Now, because we don't see, we can't see, and it doesn't exist as a physical component anywhere in our body, and it's called therefore an internal instrument. Now, it's an internal instrument. We only know it through its operation, not otherwise. You only know how it operates. You only know how it reacts. You only know how you put it to use. So that's what it is. And so Krishna referred to Manas, Buddhi, Chittam, Ahankaram complex of the mind. These are Sanskrit expressions. Now, they well explain the functional differentiation of the mind. Now, first thing is very clear. Now, your memory, you store data and you retrieve data, all that kind of thing is part of our mind. Though it has a physical base, which is different. A neurologist will not speak of a mind at all. For him, the mind does not exist. It is only the brain. But we go to a somewhat different plane, a higher plane, because we have known it to exist. We have known it to function. We have known it. We have grappled with it. We are struggling with it every day. And therefore, we know it as a reality. And therefore, we deal with the mind. We don't deal with the brain at all. Thank God we don't. You see. So, now, therefore, it's a retrieving and storing data apparatus. That portion is called the manas. It simply stores. That's what they say. Now, then you see, what is stored has to be recollected. And at a particular situation, you need to recall something in order to be able to understand it. or put it to better use, or relate it to something else. Now you recall it. Now, having recalled it, you now relate it to something else. Now you get a better meaning out of that mass of data. That data came in, at that time it was so used to you, you put it down, and then you retrieved it when it was necessary, and then you were relating it to some other situation, and then you found a meaning to what you have stored. Now that job is done by what we call the buddhi, or the intellect. Intellect takes it to the level at which it is able to sift the data, relate the data, and then take get a meaningful presentation of it to you as a personality. The I, the personality. It tells you, you see, that is that. என்றைக்கோ ஒரு நம்ம ஸ்கூலில் பையன் நான் படிச்சிருக்கேன் ஒருத்தரோட, அவர் போயிட்டார், டெல்லிக்கு போயிட்டார். அப்புறம் நாம் மறந்து போயிட்டோம் அவரை. ஒரு நாளைக்கு அதோட மெமரியில் போயிடுத்தது. பீச்சுக்கு போகிறோம், பீச்சில் பார்த்தா ரொம்ப நாள் கழிச்சு பார்க்குறோம், அங்கே அவரை பார்த்தா யாரோ ஒருத்தர் அவர் மாதிரியே இருந்தது. கொஞ்சம் தூரம் நடந்து போய்ட்டு என்னடா அது இங்கேயே பார்த்த மாதிரி இருக்கே, எங்கேயே பார்த்த மாதிரி இருக்கே அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறோம். அப்புறம் திரும்பி சார் உங்களை எங்கேயோ பார்த்த மாதிரி இருக்கே நீங்கள் அப்படின்னு, ஆமாம் சார் உங்களை நானும் எங்கேயோ பார்த்த மாதிரி இருக்கு. எங்கே சார் படிச்சிங்க? இண்டோ ஸ்கூலில் படித்தேன் சார். எப்போ சார் படிச்சிங்க? 1945 படித்தேன் சார். இந்த கிளாஸ். அப்படியா சார்? உங்கள் பேர் என்ன சார்? பார்த்தீங்களா சார், நம்ம 2 பேரும் கிளாஸ்மேட் சார். தட் இன்டலெக்சுவல் பவர் is stored. It's called buddhi. That one says it relates, it recovers, and then it relates, and then takes a meaning, gives a meaning to it, but then the world does not run on meanings alone. How happy you would be if they run on meanings alone. We run mostly on unmeaningful way. We don't give any importance to meaning. We don't give any importance to true meaning, in fact. And we only give importance to our own meaning. Now, buddhi might give you our own meaning. Now, there is one other component of this mind which says, no, that is your meaning. That is not the right meaning. You have to go for the right meaning. That something, right meaning, is related not merely to you as an individual personality, but you must look at the other circumstances. You take note of your daughter, she might be having some problem if you do that, etc., etc. Yes, slightly more judgmental situation. It advises you. It says, okay, your facts are right, your way of looking at things are right, but I tell you, this is not what will be helpful to you in the long run, or even in the short run. That is done by what is called chittam. Chittam is power of discrimination. We use the word discriminate. You discriminate meaning use your power in such a way as to get the best, sift the best out of any such situation. That is, you discriminate. You act indiscriminately, don't we say? We act indiscriminately. When you say discriminately, which means act carefully, taking all balances into consideration, and taking a right decision is discrimination. And so that power of discrimination is called chittam. Now all these things can go haywire. My mind can throw up some data, intellect can understand it in some way, and this power of discrimination can give you some judgment on that. But what for? What for? What for? It is for you, for your welfare, for your interest, in your best interest. The whole thing is done. The mind operates for you. This personality is for you. You are the center. The center is you. The I consciousness, that is ahamkaram. So, manam, buddhi, chittam, ahamkaram. So all the 4 of them, they called as internal instrument of manas, you see, in the bigger manas. So this is the Sanskrit psychology. This is the psychology of the ancient Upanishadic world. It's a fantastic psychology because it goes further. Yeah, it is a very, very rough and ready and a very superficial description of some aspects of the mind. But out of that, there is so much taken out I personally think we are on a much higher plane compared to even the Western psychology from many points of view, because most important thing, our clear and close and accurate understanding of mind, which we will be doing separately, helps you to proceed on a spiritual path towards enabling yourself to grow. Whereas in the Western understanding of the mind, it gives you an understanding of the problems of the mind, which they have to, in case there is a problem, they have to clear from psychology angle, psychotherapeutic angle, which are still dealing with mind as mind, which doesn't help you to grow beyond the mind. Whereas ultimately you must grow beyond the mind. You have to grow. All spirituality lies in going beyond yourself and growing beyond your body, beyond your mind, and beyond yourself, incidentally. So for that, this Eastern psychology, particularly Hindu psychology and Buddhist psychology, the Taoist psychology, these are all psychologies, psychological understandings which are of tremendous value compared to Western psychology as it developed in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. Okay? Now, so mind is, we have placed a lot of importance to mind, not for the purpose of putting it to use, but for the purpose of understanding it and transcending it. And transcending is a key word that we use in all spiritual efforts. Now, transcending is important for our everyday life. Because it is the mind which creates heaven for you, which creates hell for you. Mind can create heaven as well as hell for you. It can create heaven if you put it that way. It can create hell if you use it that way. And therefore, to take it out of its hellishness and to make it a heavenly habitat is in your hands. Now that is spirituality. So you see, because all practical living has to depend upon making mind a heavenly habitat. Therefore, both are closely related. Without that, good living is not possible. Good mind is necessary for good living. Right? I will stop here.